What's up, everybody? TechChucker here, and I've got a review for you. This is my absolute very first DC Comics Multiverse figure. I've been wanting this guy for quite some time. This is the Batman The Dark Knight Returns Armored Batman figure from the New 52 Doomsday Build-A-Figure wave. Or what do they call it? Collect and Connect or something like that. I have shied away from all multiverse figures, but this one looks too good to pass up. So let's go ahead and crack this thing open and take a closer look. Alright, as always, let's check out the articulation. Now, as far as I know, the multiverse figures are not very well known for their articulation. His head appears to be on, I believe, a ball peg, and he can't really look up at all. There's no looking up. He can look down quite a bit. The problem is that whatever that piece is in front of his face isn't going to let him. But he can look side to side with no issues. That is great. I love that. And, you know, there's just a tiny little bit of give for the tilt. So, not too bad. I'm actually pretty happy. In the shoulder, he has a ball hinge, and that works pretty good. Actually, not too bad. He's got full rotation of that shoulder as well. There's an upper bicep swivel that works really good. And then a single joint or a single hinge in the elbow. Pretty limited there. My right arm was completely fused. It won't move. And then there is a peg. There is no hinge, just a peg joint in the wrist, which is a bit of a disappointment. But, you know, from what I remember of what the multiverse figures are, you know, that's about what we're going to get. What surprised me is there is an ab crunch, and it actually works pretty good. The issue is it doesn't hold that position very well, but it's there, which is pretty sweet. He's got a good waist swivel, no problems with that. That works good. And then down in the hips, I'm actually pretty pleased with this. He's able to do a fairly decent amount of splits, which I was actually not expecting. He's able to kick forward just a little bit, not too bad. If you kind of finagle it and twist it just a little bit, you get a little bit more out of that. That's not too bad. For an armored Batman, I'll take that. And then backwards kick, there's actually a really good range of motion there. I mean, that's about as much, if not more, than some of your Marvel Legends. He does have kind of a waist or a upper thigh swivel right at the hip, and then single jointed knees. These are a little bit limited, but you know, they get the job done. There is an upper boot cut that works good and is necessary. And then in the ankle, this is pretty disappointing. There's a hinge. It doesn't move back much. It doesn't move forward much. It's pretty limited. And then there is no ankle rocker, which is a huge bummer. If they had given us an ankle rocker, that would have really been awesome. That would have made the figure 100% better. But overall, because I had pretty low expectations for the articulation, and the ab crunch actually surprised me, and the hip joint capability surprised me, I'm actually really pleased with this. Alright, so the paint and the sculpt work are actually what made me really want to get this figure. I think it is a great representation of the Dark Knight Returns Batman. The face looks great. I love the grimace. It looks really cool. I like the eyes. I love the way that this looks. I think it is just a superb job, honestly. I mean, and then the chest piece, this actually is like a soft rubber. I thought it was hard plastic, but this is very flexible, very pliable, which I'm surprised that a lot of the rubbery pieces are actually quite soft. This cape doesn't come off. I thought it would, but I like the different textured plastics. I love the hands. I think the hands are great, except for the trigger hand, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, the sculpt work, there's a lot of nice detail work. You can see those little lines sculpted into the thigh pieces. I like the belt. I like these ankle cuff things. I think they look great. The feet look amazing. I love the bottoms that they actually put the grippers like that in there. The cape is a relatively soft, pliable plastic, which I was surprised with. It feels softer than the Hasbro Marvel Legends rubber that they use. So I'm overall very, very pleased. The one thing that I noticed when I was sifting through the boxes of these is that the paint amps were very shoddy, or kind of hit or miss whether or not you're going to get a good one, which was a little bit disconcerting as I was going through. Kept finding ones that had bad paint work on the belt and whatnot, but I finally found one. All right, so let's do a quick size comparison between Bats and this Peter Parker Spider-Man from Hasbro. And now Peter Parker, he is about 6¼ inches, and Batman is he's about a whole head higher, maybe even more taller. But because one, he's got the feet peg thingers, I would expect him to be taller. He's in full armor. I would expect him to be bigger and bulkier. So I think this is a good scale for this figure. He's getting pretty close to being 7 inches tall, to the peak of his ear things. So I'm pretty pleased. I think they scaled this very, very well. All right, for accessories, Mattel gave us Bat's Sonic Blaster, which I like it. I don't like that it says China on the side. I wish they could have put it somewhere else, but this is a pretty accurate representation of the blaster that he used in The Dark Knight Returns comic series, or the comic book from Frank Miller. I really like it. The one thing I don't like, the way that they sculpted his hand to actually have him hold it, he has to hold it pointed down. Like, there's no way that he can point this going forward because that thumb is too high and too straight up. Had they actually moved the thumb down a little bit and out, which I guess would be towards him, then it could have held it. He could have held it properly. It looks decent when he's holding it just like that, like he's about to raise the gun. That looks good. I like that. But they just could have done a little bit better job. And then there's no paint on it also, which is kind of a bummer. But overall, with this figure, I am very, very pleased. They did a great job matching the look from the original comic book, which is great. I love this. It looks so good. Very, very pleased. Very surprised that, pleasantly surprised with the articulation. Yes, it's not very good, but it is way better than I was expecting from a Multiverse figure, so that is very pleasing to me. In the end, I'm not planning on posing him on my shelf in any major, action poses. He's probably just going to be standing very similar to this, maybe a little bit more dynamics, but I'm still very, very pleased with this figure. I'm really happy I got him. I got him for like $11. I'm pretty stoked. It's my first Multiverse. I don't know if I'm going to delve much deeper into the Multiverse series. I wouldn't mind getting the King Shark Build-A-Figure. That looks really, really cool. But we'll see. I've been seeing that it's a little bit harder to get that one. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you have this figure? Do you love it? Do you hate it? What are your thoughts on this figure? And with that, I'll go ahead and close it out. And until next time, I'll see you later.